All right, Meghna, how are you doing, Meghna?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thanks a lot, Meghna. So, Meghna, thank you for accepting this discussion call. Just to give everybody a quick background on Meghna. So, Meghna was a student just pre-pandemic, and uh, uh, one of the lucky students, actually, I would say that she got into a very nice job in between the data science program before she finished the program. Meghna, I'm sure you'll talk about that particular job as well. And then after that, from that first job, which she got in between the program with Nielsen, she has traveled through several companies. And the last company that she worked was with Accenture as a senior consultant, a senior analyst in the AI and analytics area. And before that, she was working with Bridge I2I, which was eventually acquired by Accenture, and hence she was working with Accenture. And now she has gotten an opportunity with KPMG Ireland. So she's moving to Dublin, is what I understand, in the
Yes.
first week of March itself. Congratulations for that. And
Thank you, sir.
I think the role there is also of analytics senior analyst.
Yes.
Very, very happy for you, Meghna. And
Thank you.
I am sure you will make us proud in Ireland as well with KPMG. So, Meghna, a couple of quick questions, okay, to
Yes,
inspire
sir.
some of our existing students and the new students of data science program. I wanted to first understand why did you decide to go with Ivy in the to begin with? Uh, yeah.
Sure. So the first thing was I was doing my master's in economics, and it was very important to understand practical things of what I was studying, be it econometrics or understanding data and how to work with data. And the basic requirement to understand data is how you see it on a computer, right? We
Right.
can see data on pages, but seeing it on a computer is a very different thing.
Mm.
What we actually did was, we had an entire batch, and everybody, all of us went together to Ivy
Oh,
because we had heard a lot about Ivy from our seniors as well, people who had already passed out from the same university, that is Calcutta University, and it actually benefited them as well when they took the course from Ivy, right?
so
So
Meghna,
that's
you were part of how many people came from your batch to the?
there were around I think around 10 to
Okay,
15 people, if I'm
then
not wrong.
yeah.
Yeah. They came in various batches. So a few of them joined early. I was a late joiner actually in Ivy. I should have joined 2 months prior to when I joined. But anyway, I mean, it is okay. I got the chance anyway. So that's a good thing. And the moment I entered Ivy, the first person I met was Ishani ma'am, and she took my Excel classes. And that the first day when we sat for the Excel class, it was evident that this place will teach us, this place will make me understand about data, how it works, what is actually required to get a corporate job, and how is the corporate uh, how does the corporate want us to groom ourselves so that we can provide the company whatever the company requires. And that was clearly explained in Ivy. It was clearly it was they made sure in Ivy it is very important, and it is done in the beginning. Only in the beginning of any course, it is explained to the students that this is what you're going forward for. So a corporate job and a master's in economics is not the same. It's way beyond what we can even think of. And it was very beautifully explained, and it was not a very it was a very motivating explanation, which already made me sure that okay, this is what I'm going to do as a career. So
Okay,
yes.
very good. So, what I also understand is that I think within like 2 months or so, you got your first job. The program normally is for 6 months to 7 months, but you
Yes.
got the job in the first couple of months itself. Why don't you explain how did that happen?
Absolutely. So our batch was in the like we were doing our Excel course,
Okay.
and while we had the last the final exam for Excel only. So before that, there was an opportunity which came from Nielsen, Kolkata. And it was offering a job as research assistant in their company. And there was a whole drive. So before we went for the Nielsen interview, I remember that we had a group discussion demo, and we had all the various all the various rounds which are taken in an interview, in a corporate interview. All those rounds already happened with us as a demo, uh, taken by the teachers at Ivy. And it was explained that if we are going wrong anywhere, it was explained in that particular group discussion demo that okay, this is not how you should frame yourself, this is not how you should showcase yourself, you should say these things, or you should speak like this, so that you are seen in an interview, because there'll be 30 other people giving the same interview sitting in the same room. So you have to stand out, and this is how you stand out. And there were two exams taken on Excel, for which we were prepared separately by Ishani ma'am. And she had given us, quizzes and tests, mock tests, so that we are accustomed to the kind of questions which are coming for us. So it's not necessary that whatever you learn always all the questions will come ditto like that, right?
Right.
It can always change, and there are multiple variations in the kinds of questions a corporate company can ask you, or they can ask you to solve those answers. So we were given a full demo of how the interview can go, and what all questions can be asked, and how to you know how to understand Excel rather than mugging it up. So rather than mugging up the formulas, it's important to understand the formulas. And that's how I passed out the first two rounds for the tests on Excel, which were taken by Nielsen. And then there was the last, there were two more rounds. One was a group discussion, where also I performed well because of the, the good suggestions which were given already at Ivy, and I followed those. So that was also done. And then there was another personal one-on-one round, which again I passed, and that's how I landed a job at Nielsen. And even after I got the job in Nielsen, I faced multiple problems because because I was new to the environment. I did not know how a corporate job works. I was a fresher. I had no knowledge what to do in an office and how to perform various tasks in an office. In spite of in spite of the fact that I already had a job, I still used to visit Ivy. I still used to visit Ishani ma'am with multiple questions and queries, and she was very kind, and she was very patient with all the, and she gave me all the answers. She made me understand how to go forward in Nielsen, so that I can also grow in Nielsen. And that actually happened as well. I came out of Nielsen as a quality check lead.
Okay.
So I was appointed in Nielsen for that. And then I was also very involved in all the kinds of work which was happening in Nielsen, right? So that
So
was a
Meghna,
very,
how long did you work with Nielsen?
so it was around 1.5 years, I think.
1.5. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So Meghna, one quick one quick question for you around that preparation. You mentioned that you, of course, went through a lot of demo, a lot of mock interviews, a lot of mock meetings, a lot of practice time. We do that regularly as part of all our courses and all our course modules as well. So
Yes.
everybody. But what I also observe is that some of the students don't appear for those mock interviews. They don't appear for those mock assessments, which are kind of optional. Uh, but they do the programs. They do the data science using machine learning, Python, and SQL. They will do all those classes seriously and fulfill all the requirements. But when it comes to mock interviews and all of it, I don't see a lot of folks coming uh, forthcomingly out of their shell and attending. So, what tip would you give to them? What is it?
Okay. So the most important thing is, if you really want to get through a job interview, it is very important that you prepare for it.
Okay.
So, uh, so basically, this was the first company which came to me while I was in Ivy, and I was able to crack this job in the first attempt itself. The reason being, I attended those mock interviews, I attended the group discussions, and I tried to understand. I took notes of what to do and what not to do. So if I wouldn't have attended those interviews, I mean the mock ones and the group discussion demo and all of that. So if I did not attend that, then I wouldn't have been able to go through that first attempt, right? And I will say that these so whatever is being taught in the class is is for us to understand the entire topic, right? Or the entire course, or the part which is being taught, for example Excel or SQL or Python, right? But once we go for the corporate job, it is important to understand that what is required there. It's not what is inside our head, it's rather what is required for the job. What does the company want us to do? The company does not want us to do what is being taught in the class. The company wants us to do their work. So it is important to understand that there is a very thin link between the two, and we have to acknowledge the fact that um, a corporate interview can be a lot more than a class,
Right.
right? So if if actually a person wants to go through and wants to get a job, it's very important to go through the mocks, because the mocks teach you what has to be done, or what is required, or how you're supposed to groom yourself. We even had a grooming session before we went for the Nielsen interview. So even in that grooming session, it was clearly explained that these are the things, these are the do's and don'ts in an interview,
Right.
right? So it's very important to do the mocks. If you don't do the mock, if you're lucky enough, you might get through. But if you do the mock,
And the chances
you might have a 95% chance to get through, right?
are.
So yeah.
One more question for you. So in your course, right? I
Sorry.
mean, I know after going into Nielsen as well, you continued doing SQL with me, and then
Yes.
you continued doing machine learning as well with one of our
Yes.
colleagues. And later on, you from being a research assistant at Nielsen, you graduated to becoming. I mean, in Bridge I2I, you were a consultant in the analytics space. So.
Yes.
What was that? I mean, how was that transition, and what was the role that the course played there?
Absolutely. So the first thing, so when I started working in Nielsen, I used to work on Excel
Right.
and uh, an in-house tool of Nielsen.
Sure.
But as I went forward, I realized that there are other softwares in the market, and there is a lot of demand for softwares like SQL or Python, because there was a lot more which you can do with the same data which you're seeing on Excel, right? So in order to do that, it was important to understand what these other softwares do and how they function, right? So I remember when I started doing your class, so you used to explain a lot of things which were not making complete sense at that point of time, because I was not doing the same work at office. But I'll tell you very honestly, after a year of what you had taught us, so after a year of those classes, when I actually faced it in my corporate work, a corporate company, when I saw that those things are coming up, I was like, okay, it's a good thing that I actually did that class, because that is getting utilized right now. That is a very important. So SQL has been a very important demanding software in the industry for a long time now.
Right.
Right now, like in Bridge I2I, in Accenture, the clients I've worked with, they have used SQL extensively. And it was very important. So in an office, in a class, when you sit, if you do not understand anything, if you don't know anything, you can ask the teacher, right? I could ask you, I could ask ma'am. But in an office, when I don't understand anything or when I don't know anything, I have nobody to ask to. So in that case, I was actually so I had to revisit those sites, those notes which I had made in your class, and I had to recall all my learnings at that point of time, and few which were already there in my head, that actually helped me cope up with that challenge as well. Because in these softwares, it is very important that you keep in touch. So whether it be Excel, whether it be SQL, whether it be Power BI, whether it be anything, it is very important to keep in touch. So when you lose that touch for 6 7 months, it is very natural that we forget things. So if you have already taken up those classes, or if you've already heard what is the software about or how it works, so then it becomes easier to catch up at a later stage. So whatever is the scenario in data analytics, there are a few softwares which are always going to be in the market, and which are always going to be used by most companies, right? So so basically, even for Python, it's the same scenario for Python. It is being extensively used nowadays by a lot of companies, and they are preferring Python over other tools. So when I did those classes, maybe at that point of time it was not relevant because I was not doing the same work. But when it became relevant, then I thanked Ivy in my heart that okay, I did those classes and Ivy made me go sit through those classes and at least get something out of it, right?
And Meghna, you must have had the recording access of the classes, right? Even
Yes,
after.
yes, absolutely. I actually still have those recording access. And honestly speaking, when when you feel absolutely, so in a job, there are times when you don't know what has to be done or how you can get through that challenge. So, in spite of searching something on YouTube, since I already had the recordings with me and I still have access to them, so I went back to those recordings and I even saw small clips because I had those notes with me that this topic is being, explained in this minute, in these few minutes. So I went back to those recordings and I recalled them through that, and that actually made it much faster for me because I did not have to go and search, and I did not have to go and hunt for those answers which I did
That is
not
the
know.
reason why the recordings are there for,
Exactly,
yeah, you get
exactly. And that access is not taken away. That's a very good thing because as I said, I still have that access. And even after I leave India or I go to Dublin, even when I require it, I can still access it. I can still get overcome the challenge which is in front of me, right? That's a very good thing.
So, Meghna, one more question follow up here.
Yes.
You've now worked with some good, great companies, Accenture, and now you're joining PMG. What tips would you give to, and especially now you're in AI and analytics, worked
Yes.
for data analytics and artificial intelligence space. What tips would you give to a young aspirant who's currently doing the program or maybe thinking of doing a program with Ivy Pro School? What tips would you give to a person who's very new?
Okay. So these would not be tips because so it would rather be these are like prerequisites, which I would say, because in the data analytics field, there is a lot of change which is happening every time. So when I started my career in data analytics, I had to focus on SQL, uh, on Excel. Uh, these were the two things which I was focusing on in the beginning. But then what happened? There was a new demand in the market, which was for Power BI. And honestly speaking, I also had to learn Power BI on the job because and since I already had an understanding of SQL and Excel, it helped me to grasp the new tool easily, right? So there is continuous change in this field. So it is very important that you keep revisiting whatever you have learned or whatever you have been occupied with, the tools which you have been occupied with. And what that does is it helps you to learn a new tool faster. It helps you to work with those same tools in a much more efficient way. You get to learn a lot more new things, and many more doors open for you when you're already in a job, right? So each company that I've been with have had different demands over the years, right? And it has, so I always honestly speaking, it's not I'm not even 1% of here and there, I'm not even going. I always thank Ivy for what it has given me in my initial years of my career, because without that I wouldn't have been able to grasp the new tools and the new ways of working with data throughout these years, because data was something which I had only studied about in the books. I had never seen, or I had never, visualized data the way I do it today. And Ivy played a very important role in making me understand that this data can have multiple shapes and forms, and you can work with it in multiple ways. So it's very important to keep revisiting your softwares, your tools, whatever you use, and it is very important to stay updated. That and which Ivy does very well with their students, because there are always, there's a group which is which is so basically for every course, be it Excel, SQL, there are WhatsApp groups which are opened, and all the students are put into that group, and whatever updates are there regarding classes, regarding the software, the tool, everything is shared.
Cases, the projects.
Yes, projects, the updates on new features which have come in for those tools and for those softwares, they are all always shared. So this helps you stay updated with the current tool that you're working with. And this also helps a lot on your job, because so there are multiple phases in a job where you might have to improvise on what you already know, because it is required to get that work done. So in order to improvise, it is very important to know what new feature is there, because you might be able to do the same thing in a much more easier and more efficient way. So for that, it is important to understand and to be in touch with that software and that tool and the features which are being launched and things like that. So yeah, so those are the prerequisites.
All right. So Meghna, one last question.
Yes, sir.
Why Ireland when India is also booming with so many opportunities in the world of data? Why did you choose Ireland specifically?
um, okay, so this is a little bit personal, but
Okay.
I don't mind sharing that. um, but so I always wanted to study abroad
Okay.
when I was a kid, but somehow it did not happen.
Okay.
And yeah, I buried that uh, want or that desire to study abroad somewhere after I started working, right? Because I thought that maybe, since we have data analytics in India now, and it's much better than many more countries worldwide, right? So, and that's the reason. So if you look at it this way, that's the reason maybe I got a job in Ireland, because Indians have surpassed that barrier on data analytics, and they have learned a lot more. And that is the reason in Ireland they were actually wanting people from India and from so that they can make them do the work which is required, right? So and we have got that education, be it from Ivy, be it from whichever school, right? We've got that education on data analytics, which makes us well equipped with the entire the entire thing. So so Ireland, I honestly don't know why it was just Ireland,
I mean,
but
it's a good enough reason that you wanted to study abroad and did not have
yeah,
earlier
exactly.
an opportunity to work
Yeah,
in global environment. And
yes,
Ireland is also coming up quite aggressively in a lot of tech fields,
yes,
and data
yes.
one of the great areas to be in there.
Yeah.
And Meghna, I must add a couple of things about you, right? So that people understand that behind every success story, there is a lot of effort that a person puts behind, right? I mean, like how she said that she attended all the mock interviews, she put focus. Of course, I mean, she spoke about mock interviews and all, but I know she was very, very sincere about the case studies, about the projects, about exercises, milestone exercises that we do almost every week. There are so many exercises and cases. And she was among those students who was very, very sincere about doing those things within the due date and not missing out on those opportunities that we provide to every student. Mock cases, projects, assignments. These are done to all the students, but the students do it very nicely, and some of the students miss out on that opportunity. So that effort that you put, Meghna, is something which is commendable, right? I mean, and I believe that you're still continuing to put that effort. We've been in touch with you, and I've seen your progress from where to where now. and of course, you have a long future as well. But that effort, right? That proactiveness, that effort, that being not happy with what you have, being always looking out, being staying hungry for the next new thing, and staying open to learning new things. That those are some of the skills that you possess, Meghna, and those skills are the skills which we believe that if anybody has, then with our kind of courses, easily you can make a successful career in the world of data. Meghna, all the best and thanks a lot for joining in today. And I know you have less than a couple of weeks and you are moving out of the country. And I'm sure you will remain in touch with us. We have a lot of students in Ireland, a lot of students in the UK, and I'll will be more than happy to make you in touch, guys. And Meghna, congratulations and all the best for the next
Thank
career
you.
opportunity. Thanks a lot, and I'm sure you will have a great time with KPMG. And have a good one.
Hopefully, yes. Absolutely. Okay.